Hello, this is Dale Maxwell. Thanks for completing my questionnaire, Jerry and Jackie. I appreciate it. It gives me an idea of what supplements or changes in your behavior to make sure that you're aware of. And so let's get started. Nothing you can do about that background. You should be making sure you're wearing gloves when you're handling your guns. Uh, Gun oil is toxic, as is all oils. Um, And when you start going back to doing handyman stuff, you want to make sure you're wearing masks most of the time because it's not just the asbestos. There's a lot of particles in almost everything having to do with handyman work. So, and if you're doing any wiring or rewiring, then you're a lot of the old wire has lead in it. So be careful with that. Make sure you're wearing gloves. Okay. Um, Now, I'm glad you changed your diet, and what we're looking for is a whole food plant based diet. So, not stuff that's in packages and frozen stuff, actual plant that you can see that it's a plant, potato, beans, that kind of stuff. It doesn't have the strange reaction on you that the stuff in packages does. Okay. Also, as you go through and start doing that, because I did look through this first before I started recording, um, you need to be checking your blood pressure pretty much every day because as you change your diet and get off of the standard American diet, your blood pressure will go down. Okay, and that's a good thing. Okay, um, no question that most people that go to a whole food plant based diet get off of all the pharmaceuticals. That's what happens. Okay. But you need to be paying attention because if you continue with the blood pressure medications um, and you stop putting in the stuff that causes the high blood pressure, what can happen is you'll fall down. You'll get too low a blood pressure and, collapse or faint or be weird, like passing out, kind of weird. Okay. So take your blood pressure a couple times a day. Keep a log book, and as you see it going down, work with your doctor to lower the dosage. Get yourself a cutter to cut the pills. And so I'm not sure why you're doing baby aspirin, but I would never put anybody on aspirin or Tylenol ever, just because, well, they're not good. Okay, just my opinion. No, no, no advice given here. Just my opinion. Okay. Okay, good. Oh, wow. Okay. So, uh, when you start running the biofeedback stuff, you should be looking for things that have to do with emotions that happened. Anytime you have a trauma, like the trauma that you describe here, um, your mind and body can replay that trauma just by itself. Okay, and so unless you've done a lot of emotional work, there's something called EFT that you can look up and learn how to do. I do have a document that you can download that explains how to measure and do it. I'll make sure you get that. Um, my background before I started working with Dr. Kelly was in psychology, so that's why I know about that stuff. Okay, good. Prayer is a wonderful tool. What you want to start doing is when you pray about stuff, write down the uh, emotional charge prior to doing the prayer work and after you do the prayer work. And then you can also do that process when you do the EFT. It's very similar. Okay. So, uh, and I don't know what your weight was before, so um, you and I don't know, I haven't got to that part, but you should be doing whatever you can to be moving, exercising, all the physical things you used to do. I know it's awkward, especially right now, not being able to get out and go do stuff, but uh, yep, more traumas. Write them down. Make a big list of everything that's happened. You don't have to give me a copy of it. Just write it all down, and then start using those for triggers to figure out what emotions are still lurking and releasing them. Okay. Yep. Same thing with that. Okay. Good. Good. Uh, yeah. If you need help, you seek someone to help you with emotional work, and make sure you write down before you do the work and after you do the work what the charge is. So typically you would do a thought about, okay, I got cheated out of some money. Um, what's the emotional charge on that from 0 to 10? Okay, well it's an 8. Okay, and then do the work, and then bring that back up into your thought pattern and say, okay, well what's the charge now? And if it continuously drops down from doing the work, that work really resonates with you. If it never goes down, then the work needs to be substituted for another work or added another kind of work. And I have in the document I'll send you have 3 different suggestions for kinds of releasing work. Let's see. Okay, good. So what I'd like you to do for yourself is to go ahead and write down the 1, 3, 5, 10, and 20-year time frames and stretch, like take your grandkids to some location and, you know, that kind of thing. Okay. And put dates and times on these graduation times so that you have something firm in your mind to look forward to. Okay. Um, yeah. All right. So, when you're going through recovery from cancer, what you should know is um, that the lean proteins like fish and chicken take a tremendously amount more of um, the enzyme material that your body produces from your pancreas to digest. So since we know that your pancreas is somewhat compromised at the moment, and you'll be supplementing some enzymes, you want to reduce the amount of proteins from fish and chicken as close to zero as you can. Okay. Um, what I see in this, doing this for 25 years, is the people that will do that for the first 5, 6, 8 months, okay, where they're not eating any animal proteins, have a much faster recovery time than the ones that continue eating some amounts of animal proteins. Okay, and the fact of the matter is, there's protein in everything in the vegetable kingdom. Okay, yes, it's a lower percentage of protein compared to fish and chicken, but it's adequate. Okay, so leafy greens, I recommend that you do leafy greens every day. If you don't like chewing them up and eating them, that's okay. What I do recommend is get them in those little baggies of super greens, freeze them um, in your freezer, and then when they're frozen, take a frying pan or saucepan and whack them until they turn into a powder. Then drop them into your Vitamix machine. Um, the bag is 24 ounces or 28 ounces, and drop it into the Vitamix machine. Add uh, 8 ounces of boiling water. Distilled water is recommended for everything. Um, and then run it in the Vitamix until it turns into a soup. Okay, not heated, but all liquid. Okay, and put it into a quart jar and take around 7 to 9 ounces of that 3 times a day. Okay. At first, it'll be kind of icky, but you adjust. Okay. If you mix it with some sweet potatoes, you know, some beans, it gives you a good buffet, sort of like a sauce, thick thick sauce thing, and that'll work fine. So um, get your animal proteins down to 0%, at least for a couple, 3 months minimum. Better 8 months. Okay, and then think of animal products as a sort of a side dish rather than a main dish. Okay, there's lots of books out there. I'll send you a comic book to read um, by a medical doctor. Uh, Yeah, the dietitian. The problem with the dietitian is they're all licensed and run by the AMA, and they're taught to have animal products in everything. So forget a licensed dietitian. They're just like the medical doctors. Animal products are their main thing that they want you to eat. Okay, unless you find one that's really unusual that won't tell you the crap that they're taught. Um, Okay, so the good news about changing your diet to plant-based is that you're going to poop plenty, and you're going to be doing coffee enemas every day for taking enzymes because the coffee enemas allow the toxins to get out of your body quicker. And so what will happen is you'll take a coffee enema in the morning, and depending on where you are in the kind of continuum of getting the enzymes in and getting the cancer out, you may need a second coffee enema. But if you're just doing one coffee enema and you're eating the way I recommend, you will be pooping besides, and it'll be easy. You won't have pebbles. It'll be just soft and wonderful. Problem with animal products is there's no fiber in them. So um, if you can get out and get some sun, that's good. Um, and if you haven't had a vitamin D test, get tested and take some supplemental vitamin D. Okay. 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 That's all right. It didn't look like you've been on any other pharmaceuticals, but common drugs are the blood pressure, which you are on. Um, they also want to put you on cholesterol drugs, all of the crap that they put you on. So, but you haven't done that, so good. Um, okay. Never had a root canal. Wonderful. All your teeth are there. So you have top. Okay, so you don't have teeth. Okay, not a problem. One of the things that during the next few months, when things are getting better and you're getting stronger, that you may want to do is invest the cost, maybe $500. I don't know what it'll cost in your area to have a scan of your head that can be evaluated to see if you have um, any infections in places where they removed the teeth. Okay, the problem with teeth when they're removed is that the dental training is crap. They don't routinely teach dentists how to properly remove a tooth. The tooth must be the socket in the tooth must be scraped out to get down to the bone, remove 1 millimeter of bone, so that it can grow back together. If it fails to grow back, you can have something called a cavitation. A cavitation is a little pocket that um, allows bacteria to grow in it. Okay, low grade infection. Most people can manage that, but since you're kind of in a bad place right now, you may have overwhelmed that. Well, that's the only reason you get cancer is because your immune system didn't keep up. Okay, so it's one more thing to evaluate. And so it's a CT scan that an experienced dentist can examine and see if you have broken pieces of tooth in there, which is okay according to the medical to the dental people. If they break a tooth when they're pulling them out and they leave it in there, it's perfectly acceptable. Pieces of metal are perfectly acceptable. I've gone through this for the last 20 years with my daughter. Okay, it's unbelievable the stuff that they let stay in people's mouths because they like don't have a clue that the whole body is involved. Anyway, um, so um, you may want to get one of those scans a little bit later after you've done some healing and reduced the amount of load on your body. Okay, and I already gave the link about the energy evaluation, so we're good on that. Okay, well, I guess we're done on this. Thank you so much for submitting this. I hope I answered most of your questions. I didn't see a complete diet, but I'll send you a copy of the recommended starting diet and really anything that's 100% plant-based, whole food, low oil, like no oil is recommended. Um, I use nut butters. Vitamix is a good thing to have if you don't have one, um, so that you can grind up stuff. Don't know where you are in the country whether you can get almonds that are safe. Currently, almonds in the United States are uh, required by the federal government to be pasteurized unless they're sold through a uh, farmer's market directly by the grower. So I don't think you can get almonds up where you are that aren't pasteurized. There's two kinds of pasteurization. One is steam pasteurization, and one is a chemical pasteurization, which is a known carcinogen. You do not want that one. Now, you may be able to get stuff from Canada without any problem that it hasn't been pasteurized, so because you're close to the border there. Okay, I've gone kind of long. I hope you don't mind. This is Dale Maxwell, and I'm looking forward to helping you to recover. Have a great day.